Hello everyone, I hope you are well. Today I'm back with another scrapbook flip through. It's going to be quite a long one, this one, because it's covering a 3-week trip, and this one is going to be my trip to Australia. So this is my front cover. I stuck a postcard on it. I'll read what that says in a minute. This is actually my favourite front cover page that I think I've ever done. So I kept it quite simple. I just put sort of two iconic photos, Sydney Opera House and Ayers Rock, have my title, and then I drew or stuck in a map and drew our route on it. So we flew into Melbourne, we flew to Ayers Rock for a couple of days, flew back to Melbourne, flew to Cairns, and then came down the east coast to Sydney. And then in here I've just got like a little itinerary of what we did each day, so that I can look back and remember what I did on each day. And then just got some sort of Australia stickers to decorate the page, and I sort of did some Aboriginal style dottings to tie in, particularly with the Ayers Rock bit of the trip. So my postcard says, "Dear Australia, it was always a dream to visit you and you didn't disappoint. From your natural wonders to your vibrant cities and lovely people, you had everything. I hope I'll be back one day, but until then you gave me fabulous experiences and wonderful memories to treasure forever." So yeah, and then I chose this postcard just because it's got pictures of some of the places that we visited. So this page here is our flights. It was a long flight, made up of 2 separate journeys. So we first of all flew from London Gatwick to Dubai, and then from Dubai to Melbourne. And so on the first flight, I always like to take a picture of my meal and the film I watched. So this was like a beef stew, which was actually really nice. It was quite comforting because it was like a late flight, so it was like a nice warming dinner to have. And I watched the 20th anniversary Harry Potter documentary. And then on the second flight, we had like a chicken curry thing with some profiteroles, which was really yummy. And I watched In Bruges, which is one of my favourite films. So this is my cousin Charlotte, who came with me. She'd just finished university, and so she had sort of the summer free, and I had a bit of time that I took a bit of time off from work, so we decided to go. So yeah, she'll feature a lot in the book. And then this was our flight map. So this was from Dubai to Melbourne, and just there is the Burj Khalifa out of the window. I like to say that I've seen it, even though it was from afar. I don't think Dubai's a place that I'm ever likely to go. So yeah, I thought at least I can say I've ticked that off. And then this is our boarding pass. We were a bit cheeky. We upgraded to premium economy just because the second flight was 13.5 hours. So just to give us a bit more leg room. And while it was expensive, it was sort of reasonable for the length of flight. So yeah, I'm glad we did that, to have sort of, there was just the 2 of us in the seats, and then yeah, had a lot of leg room, which was lovely. So our first main stop was Uluru, or Ayers Rock. It's right in the centre of Australia. It's really iconic, and it was one of the places I really wanted to go. We managed to snap a picture of it outside, out the plane window, even though we were sat on the wrong side of the plane. We managed to pass our phone over to the people on the other side, and they got this really cool picture for us, which was lovely. And then these photos are from one of the lookouts within the resort. I think it's called the Imalung lookout. So yeah, it was, even though it's about 20 kilometres away, it's still really impressive, and you can sort of see the whole rock. So this was about 5 o'clock in the evening, and as the sun sets, you can watch it. They say change colours, but as in it changes the shades of browns and reds, which is really cool to see. So yeah, we stayed at this lookout for about 45 minutes to an hour. Could have easily spent longer there before going to get dinner. So yeah, we managed to catch the sky changing colour and the rocks, so you can sort of see it's a much brighter orange there compared to the like brown in the middle of the day. This was the hotel we stayed at. We stayed at the Outback Hotel and Lodge. It was sort of one of the more reasonably priced ones, and yeah, it was fine. They do have a hostel kind of thing attached to it, but we chose to stay in like the actual hotel bit, which was really nice. So yeah, highly recommend that one. Then this is our receipt from breakfast, which was very expensive. I'd been told that Australia was expensive, and while I didn't spend as much as I thought I would, it was still pretty pricey. So yeah, this breakfast was 38 Australian dollars, which was about £20, and it was a continental breakfast, so you didn't even get like a cooked breakfast with it. It was just cereals, fruit, meats and pastry. So yeah, I stuck that in because I thought that was a little bit pricey for a continental breakfast, but it was yummy. And then this picture here is still from the lookout, but the other, facing the other way away from the rock. Just the colour of the sky was amazing. And this is a random picture, excuse me, from the flight to Ayers Rock. There's like a river meandering, and you see lots of oxbow lakes, and I remember learning them in school thinking, when am I ever going to need to know about this? But I finally saw one in real life. Then the next morning we did a walk around the base of Uluru, so we had to get up, I think we were picked up about 5:30 in the morning. So because we went in there winter time, obviously the sun rises later, so we had a bit more of a later start than had we, say, gone in the summer, but it was still a very early wake up call considering we were still a bit jet lagged, and it was very cold. Obviously it's the middle of the desert, so at night it was freezing, and yeah, I made the mistake of wearing shorts, which in the morning was very cold, but luckily by the middle of the day the sun had come out, so I reaped my reward eventually. So yeah, the first half of the walk you actually can't take pictures because it's sort of a sacred monument, but we just listened to the stories of our guide, they were all fascinating and really interesting. And then once you get past a certain point, that's when you can start taking photos. So yeah, it was so cool to be really up close with it, and from pictures from afar it just looks like a round sort of blob, but yeah, it's interesting to see like it's actually got all these crevices in it, and there's lots of carvings on it which are supposedly they're natural, but these are all integrated into the Aborigine stories. So this is supposedly a spear that is being thrown into the leg of an emu. So yeah, they were all really exciting and really cool to see. And then there was one part that we could actually touch the rock, so yeah, we managed to get these really cool pictures. And then this is the part of the rock where you used to be able to climb up it, but you can't anymore. But yeah, it was still really cool just to get pictures from different parts of the rock. Then these are the stories, the main stories they told us about Uluru, so all the Aboriginal stories that have been passed down for generations. So this one was about a lizard who stole an emu that other hunters had caught for food, and he dragged it up to the top of the cave, and then the hunters sort of smoked him out, and so this sort of white stuff is supposedly his scales where he got scorched and he tumbled down the hill. A lot of the stories have got morals to them, and sort of it's made, especially if told to children, to make them think and sort of think about right and wrong in the world. And then this one was about a snake, and supposedly this is her coiled up in the water hole where she came to rest. And then we went inside a cave and began to and looked at the different cave paintings, which were really cool. And someone said this looks like the hand and the crown of the Statue of Liberty, even though obviously that would have been there a lot longer before the Statue of Liberty was built. But yeah, all the caves and all the paintings and the stories were really interesting. And then that night we booked the Field of Lights exhibition, which is it's a field made up of lights, funnily enough, but it's an art installation by a British artist. So we booked the Star Pass, which meant that you got like we went for sunset and you got a look out of Uluru, and you sort of saw the sunset and then the lights begin to light up. So we got given champagne or prosecco. There were all kinds of drinks available. There were little canapes. So yeah, we stayed there for about an hour and a half, just watching the sunset with our little drinks and nibbles. And we saw a little field mouse. So yeah, that was really lovely. And I'd highly recommend upgrading to that part of the package, because the normal Field of Light, you don't get to see Uluru. You can't see it from the actual field. So yeah, that was really cool to see. So this picture here shows it really well. You can see the rock and then the lights all lit up there. And then you go down a slope in the dark, which is a bit treacherous, and you get to walk among all the lights, which are amazing. It's quite hard to get photos because of it was so dark, but yeah, and you get to see all the stars as well. I wish I'd got one of those apps that showed you which star constellation was which, but it didn't sort of occur to me to do that. So yeah, that's why I stuck a load of stars here, just because we got to see all the different constellations. But yeah, this was definitely a highlight of the trip, and if I was lucky enough to go back, I'd 100% want to do this again. So yeah, here's just some more pictures. So yeah, that's all the fields lit up, and then these are them all close up individually. We tried to take a picture of the both of us, but the flash from the camera, because there was no light, was blinding, hence the faces. So yeah, that was definitely a highlight of the trip and a place I'd want to go back to. So after Uluru, we then flew to Cairns, even though we had to go back to Melbourne to fly up to Cairns. So we arrived really early morning, and so kind of had a bit of a chill day that day. So we walked around, we visited the lagoon, and went to Gilligan's Hostel, which is sort of the famous party hostel in Cairns. We didn't stay here, mainly because it was very expensive, sort of more expensive than a standard hostel. But the hostel I did pick, which is called the Jack Backpackers, was not great. So this was our private room, and it felt like a prison cell. So yeah, maybe that time is not where trying to save cost is effective, because yeah, we ended up in somewhere not great compared to the one with the good reputation, even if it is a party reputation. So yeah, it was really cool to see the fish in the lagoon. Sort of, they're quite iconic. You see them on Instagram and YouTube all the time. And the lagoon was really warm, and it was nice just to sort of paddle for a bit, and we read books and listened to music and just had a bit of a chill, because the previous few days had been really full on and hectic. So yeah, it was nice to chill there. And then you can't go to Cairns without going to the Great Barrier Reef. So we booked with Passions of Paradise, and you had all your snorkeling gear included and lunch and drinks. So yeah, it was sort of like a full day tour. We left at about 8 a.m. and got back at 5. So yeah, this was sort of the journey out. It took about 2 hours to get to the reef. And then we had our first snorkeling session, which was really cool. I'll come back to the postcard in a minute. So yeah, these are just some pictures from a GoPro that I had. So I really love this picture. So me and Charlotte under the water, and then these are just some snaps I took of some fish. The coral and all the marine life was amazing. I stuck this here because I didn't actually get to see a turtle, but Charlotte did, but I forgot to give her the GoPro, because for the first time in my life I was incredibly seasick. So yeah, after about an hour on the boat, I started thinking I don't feel particularly well, and yeah, I was really, really ill. And so I did the first snorkel session, even though I still wasn't feeling great, and I didn't really eat much lunch. And so when it came to the second snorkeling session, I thought I'm starting to feel better, but so I don't want to risk getting ill again. And that's when Charlotte saw the turtle. So I was absolutely gutted, and I was then sick again on the journey back. So had I known that was going to happen, I'd have just said, sod it, I'm going to go in. But yeah, I'm absolutely gutted about that. But yeah, I've never been seasick in my life, but whether it's because it was a catamaran and sort of the motion of the boat, yeah, I don't know what it was. So yeah, my postcard says, to the Great Barrier Reef, we may not have been the best of pals, but I think that was the boat rather than you. However, you were unreal and put Stupa to shame. So Stupa is my favourite place in Greece where I normally snorkel, and yeah, this was so much better. I have never seen coral or sea life like it, and it was amazing to explore you, even if you kept the turtles from me, and I would love to return. So yeah, I'd love to go back again here, but I'd have to find a boat that didn't make me sick. So then the next day we did a trip to the Atherton Tablelands, which is the jungles and the forests. Again, we booked a whole day trip, which was really good actually. I enjoyed this so much more than I thought I would. Yeah, if anything, I enjoyed this more than the Great Barrier Reef, and that's not because of the sickness. But yeah, the whole day was brilliant. So again, there's more stories to it. So this one is about a woman who fell in love with someone who wasn't her husband, who then left her. To evade capture, she threw herself in the creek, where her cries turned the still water into rushing torrents. So yeah, this is like a waterfall. So yeah, supposedly her cries made the still water become like a rush. So yeah, this was really cool to see. So yeah, just another picture of me and Charlotte there. And then this was, so the company that most people go with is called Uncle Brian's, but because we were going on a weekend, they only operate Monday to Friday. But the tour we chose was really good. I can't remember who we went with. I booked it through Viator, so if I can find the name of the company, I'll put it on screen. But this is basically the route we did. So we went to the Babinda boulders, which is this bit with the water, and then we went to Josephine Falls, Miller Falls, and then to Lake Eacham. So we did kind of like a big circle and then back to Cairns. So this was Josephine Falls, which were amazing. I love a waterfall, never seen one like this up close. So you could actually swim in the water, which was really, it was cold, but it was refreshing and really cool. And then you could, there's some more boulder bits there. And then you could actually climb up here and slide down there, which was so much fun. Made me feel like a kid again, but yeah, that was really good fun. And then sort of the waterfalls are on 3 tiers, so you have the lower waterfall, the middle waterfall, and then the higher waterfall is up the top. So yeah, here's just some more pictures from Josephine Falls. So yeah, this would have been the middle falls. This is the view from the top of the slide, and then me getting ready to go down it. But yeah, no, really enjoyed that part of the day. And then we moved on to Miller Falls, which was the waterfall used in the Herbal Essences advert, and also Peter Andre's Mysterious Girl video. So it's renowned for trying to do a hair flick. So unfortunately my hair wasn't long enough, but Charlotte's was. So this is her sort of part way through her hair flick, and then the rest of it. Again, if I've got a video, I'll insert the footage so you can see it in slow motion, which works much better. Again, the water was really cold, but you could actually swim right up to the waterfall. Because again, we went in the winter time, there was actually a lot of water rushing, whereas if you go in the height of summer, they don't, even though they do get a lot of rain, the waterfall's not as heavy. So definitely think we went at the right time. So these here are just some pictures that sort of didn't fit on the page. So yeah, again, we had about an hour here, which was really good, so we could just do some swimming, and then put a picture. So I managed to climb all the way over to the rocks under the waterfall, which was really cool. Oh gosh, hang on, there we go. And then finally we stopped at a lake. We finally got to see a turtle, even if it wasn't swimming with it. So this lake is famous for having a crocodile, which is friendly. However, a couple of weeks before we went, there was a story about how someone has been feeding the crocodile meat, and so it's got a bit of a taste for human flesh and actually tried to attack someone. So our tour guide said we can go in if we want, it's our choice, but that's the danger there. So we all decided not to. But yeah, Charlotte sort of did a few steps in. So I put the face of someone standing in a crocodile lake. So yeah, we didn't venture too far in, but it was cool to sort of say been in a lake with crocodiles. So yeah, that was the end of our time in Cairns. So we then boarded a bus to Airlie Beach, which was 10 hours long, and it was a day bus, so it kind of felt like a wasted day because yeah, we were just sat on the bus all day. But we eventually arrived in Airlie Beach. So this was again the beach, but you can't swim in there because there's jellyfish, and so we just spent the morning walking around the town. So this was, yeah, the next morning after we arrived from the day bus. So yeah, here's the famous sign, the Airlie Beach, heart of the reef of the Witsundays, which again I'll get onto in a minute. So this was like the marina with lots of boats that we wish we could own, the beach, and then again, like Cairns, they've built a man-made lagoon so that you can do some swimming. So we just spent the day there chilling, reading, listening to music again, and catching up because the previous few days had been very hectic, so it was nice just to have a chilled day. So then we did the Whitsunday Islands. Normally you can do like an overnight boat stay, but because we were so short on time, we just did a day trip. So we went with ocean rafting, which is advertised as the ride of your life. So we were on board Black Betty, so it's kind of basically a speedboat, and it was speedy, and I was worried I was going to be sick again, but fortunately I wasn't. A couple of people were, and this was the route we took. So we left Airlie Beach, and we got the boat to the Whitsundays, which was a good couple of hours ride away again. No, it was just over an hour, sorry. But yeah, because it was a speedboat, it didn't half shift. So we arrived, again got a photo of the famous sign, and then we did a hike up to Hill Inlet and to see Whitehaven Beach. So the day didn't start out great. It was very, very grey and very gloomy. However, when we got to the top of the hill, the sun or the clouds cleared for about 30 seconds. So we managed to get like a really lovely shot of the turquoise waters with the blue sky. So I'm really pleased. And then the rest of the day was back to being cloudy and gloomy. So yeah, you can see the difference in the watercolour just because it was covered with cloud. But I'm really happy that we managed to get these two pictures, and then just got a couple more in here of some poses. So yeah, no, it was a lovely beach, beautiful beach, but it was just a shame about the cloud. And then we got to have some time on the beach, which was really nice. We got to have a little picnic lunch and just do some chilling about. We found this is like a famous tree that normally is, when the tide is in, is half underwater, but because the tide was so far out, and we got to climb over it, which was cool. Then got to sort of just have a little paddle in the water, and then there were loads of stingrays under the water, which was so cool to see. I've never seen a stingray before. I really like that picture because there's one right there. So yeah, never been that close to one before. So my postcard, I put To the Witsundays, it was certainly a wild ride to get to, but it was definitely worth it. The trek to Hill Inlet was cool through the jungle and the viewpoint was stunning, and the sun came out at the right moment. Walking among the stingrays and swimming so close to the fish was amazing, even if we did nearly drown. So when we were doing our snorkeling, I think the tour guides underestimated the strength of the current, and it was really strong. I like to think I'm quite a good swimmer, but yeah, it was really tricky, and I ended up going back on the boat just because the current was so strong. But we did get to see some cool fish, and then this fish here is, even though you can't see it very well, it's like another famous big fish that everyone tries to get a photo of. I can't remember his name, but yeah, it was cool to see that. And there's us in our wetsuits looking very fetching. So yeah, that was our time in the Witsundays. It was amazing and beautiful. It would be cool to do it again, staying on one of the overnight sailing boats, but yeah, happy with what we did. So then we had an overnight bus to Rainbow Beach, which got us in about 7 o'clock in the morning. So we couldn't actually check into our hostel, so we just lounged by the pool all day, went to the beach. Yeah, this was my favourite hostel. It was amazing. It was more like a hotel. So in our private room, like, we had a fridge, private bathroom, towels. It was amazing. Yeah, would definitely highly recommend staying there. So we went and found the famous Rainbow Steps and just had a paddle in the sea. And I, with my footsteps, I said, take only memories, leave only footprints. And that was like something that they sort of advocate for, in that you don't destroy the environment, which I think is fair enough. So our main reason for stopping at Rainbow Beach was so we could go to Fraser Island. This again was one of my favourite days of the tour. So our first stop was Lake Mackenzie, which is, it's hard to believe it's a lake, it's so huge, but the colour of the water was just beautiful. There's no other word for it. So yeah, we stayed here for about an hour and a half and just paddled, we sunbathed, we walked up and down the beach. We were sort of warned about dingoes, but unfortunately we didn't see any at Lake Mackenzie. But yeah, could have easily stayed here all day. Just yeah, the colour of that water was amazing. And then we had a trek through the forest, which was really cool. There's just lots of little creeks, and we also went to the Maheno shipwreck, which is it's been there since about the 1930s. It was an old, I think it was a Japanese ship that got shipwrecked. So yeah, no, they were all really cool to see. And then we were offered the chance to do a flight over the island, which sort of debated and ummed and ahed about, but we went for it, and it was so cool. So this was the little plane we went in. It was only like a 8-seater, and there were 5 of us, including a little kid, and there was our little pilot. Not little, there's our pilot. So they flew us over Butterfly Lake, because supposedly this looks like a butterfly, but to me it looks like one of those triangular bikinis when you hang it upside down to dry it out. But that was really cool. And then we sort of followed the coastline along for a little bit, and we took off and landed on the beach, which was an experience. And then finally we did get to see some dingoes, which was amazing. So yeah, this was from out of the coach, or out of the Jeep window, but then we did get up close to them, making sure we kept our distance, because they are wild and they can attack. But yeah, to see them in the wild like that was amazing. And this was our tour guide Keith, who was absolutely brilliant, and he even had a whip like Indiana Jones. But yeah, he took my phone and he wanted a picture with his British chicks, so he was lovely and just a fabulous tour guide. So yeah, the whole day was brilliant, and I would absolutely love to do this one again as well. Oh, I forgot about this bit. So this was right at the end of the day. This was Ely Creek, which is like a little floating river. So he gave us some rubber ring floaties, and yeah, we just went right to the top of the river and just floated our way down back onto the beach, which was, while I was editing this video, I realised the camera cut out at this point, whether the battery went or whatever, but so I'm wearing a slightly different jumper, but I'm going to try and pick up where I left off, and hopefully there won't be too much of a jump. So yes, the last thing I was talking about was us floating down the river, down Ely Creek, onto the beach. It was just a really nice, relaxing way to end the day before we got the ferry back to Rainbow Beach. The ferry was really short. It was less than half an hour, so it was a very quick journey, and it was really nice to just watch the sun start to set as we were sailing back. So after Rainbow Beach, we headed down to Brisbane. We didn't really explore much of the city, but we managed to see the Brisbane sign and sort of the main town area, because our main reason for stopping here was to see Australia Zoo. So this was something that Charlotte really wanted to do, and I was excited to see it as well. So we booked a tour with a coach pickup, and then they dropped us off at the zoo and we could wander around to our heart's content. So this is just a picture of us with statues of the Irwin family. Obviously Steve Irwin was the crocodile hunter who sadly passed away in an accident. Obviously his famous saying was "crikey." So they've got a big sign out the front. So as part of our transfer, we actually got taken to the animal hospital. They had some koalas there that had been sadly run over, and so they were nursing them back to health. And we actually saw an operation being performed. I can't remember what this animal's called, but it's a bit like a porcupine. So yeah, that was really fascinating to watch. And then we kind of got let loose in the zoo. We had 6 hours, which we still didn't get around the whole zoo, but it was cool to have so much time to just wander freely and do what we wanted. So yeah, there was a man holding a snake that we got to touch, which was really cool. And then there were lots of sort of, they're not stone, I don't know what they're made out of, caricatures of different animals. Then we've got a crocodile, a wombat, and yeah, they were just dotted around all around the zoo. As part of, because Charlotte was 21 last year, we bought her a cuddle with a koala, and I got one too. So yeah, we got to hold a little koala it was only for about 5 seconds, but you get a photo of the occasion, so had to stick that in, and it was such a cool thing and something I really tried to sort of soak up and memorise, because it was over in a flash, but it was so cool and cute, and sort of the way his little paw is on my shoulder there, just absolutely love it. I picked up a visitor's guide, which sort of opens out and has got a map of the zoo. So yeah, it's absolutely huge. And this part here is the Crocseum, where they do all the crocodile shows, which you'll see some photos in a minute. But yeah, they've got lots of different continents. So they've got an Asia, they've got an Africa, they've got what else have they got? They've got Komodo dragons, birds of prey. There's so many animals there, and you can tell that they really care about and look after the animals well there. So yeah, this is the Australia bit. So we got a koala, kangaroos and wallabies, and a little wombat asleep there. And then moving on to the Africa part, this was really cool because it was kind of like being on safari without having to be on safari. So yeah, so little meerkats, some giraffes, which I loved, lemurs, and then some rhinos. And then in the Asia part, they had a Bengal tiger, which was really cool because it came right up to the glass, really close. And then when it's sort of stretched out, you can just see how huge they are. And it was absolutely amazing. And then they had little cute Asian elephants. And Charlotte's favourite animal is an elephant, so got a picture of her with one in the background. And then this was probably one of my favourite parts of the zoo, was the kangaroos. So you can buy some root food and go and feed them and stroke them and touch them. I mean, they're a little bit greedy. They like their food, but it was so cool to kind of get right up close to them. Unfortunately, it was raining the day we went, which our bus driver said was actually quite good because the animals like the rain. When it's hot and sunny, they find it too hot, and so they look for shade and don't come out. Whereas in the rain, it's a bit cooler, so the rain didn't kind of hinder us at all. So yeah, but I didn't bring a jacket with me, so I had to buy a very fetching poncho, but it's a nice little souvenir of the day. And then every day at 1 o'clock they do a crocodile show, which was so cool to kind of see them up close and watching them sort of glide in the water. They're really majestic and kind of just amazing. And then they sort of coax them out onto land with food, but they were explaining that they're a lot slower on the ground than in water. And so, yeah, he even managed to lie down, but he did get up pretty quick when the crocodile started moving towards him, which was quite funny. But at the start, they did like birds of prey shows as well, and they brought around there were people carrying snakes as well. So that was really cool. Down. So after our stop in Brisbane, we headed down to Byron Bay. This was we only had one night in Byron Bay. And then one full day, and we used that as a bit of a chill day. We stayed at the Surf House Hostel, which was really nice. We got another private room, and yeah, it was centrally located and was a really nice hostel. And then in the afternoon, we just went down to Byron Bay Beach. It was a bit cloudy, but it was, it didn't rain, so that was the main thing. And I liked all these signs, sort of the distances to all the different beaches, which was really cool. So yeah, Bondi Beach in Sydney is 765 kilometres away. And then the next day, the morning started off a lot brighter, so we decided to walk to the Cape Byron Lighthouse, which was well worth it. You can see it in the distance on the beach. It's sort of over here somewhere. I think it's a little bit too far away to see it. But yeah, we sort of did a little hike there, which took about an hour to get there, walking, which was really nice to just have a little stroll. And then just beyond the lighthouse is the most easterly point of the Australian mainland. So yeah, if you sort of keep going that way, you'll obviously end up in New Zealand, and then if you keep going, you'll end up on the west coast of America, which just baffles me. And we in Byron Bay, there's a little chocolate shop, and so we each bought a little chocolate dolphin as like kind of a sign that we might see a real one. And we didn't see any dolphins, but we did see like the spurt of a whale, which was pretty cool. So yeah, we only had one day in Byron Bay, which would have been nice to stay longer, but it was also just as a little chill day. We managed to do some things, and then we boarded the overnight bus to Sydney, which was about 13 hours, and then we arrived in Sydney the next morning. So our first stop, after we dropped our luggage, was to go and see the Opera House and the Harbour Bridge. And again, the weather was absolutely glorious, considering it was the start of their winter. We were really worried that the weather was going to be dodgy, but had some lovely weather in Sydney. So yeah, this is a picture of me by the Opera House. Excuse the dishevelled hair, it was a bit windy. And then yeah, they're just standing outside the Opera House, and the two with the Opera House and the bridge in the background. These stickers again got from Amazon. So yeah, had to put the Sydney stickers on the Sydney page, and that's the little postcard I picked up. And then these two pictures here, this couple are actually local to me. They used to go to the same pub quiz every week that I go to, and Martin moved out to Sydney for his job, and his wife Dana followed him, or she moved out there with him. And so yeah, it was really cool to see them, because obviously we come from the same little town, and yet we met up halfway across the world, which was really cool. And they showed us the sights and sort of gave us a little tour. So yeah, it was lovely to see them. And then we sort of walked along, sort of past the Opera House along the harbour, back to the spot where you can sort of see the Opera House from across the water, and then we went and saw the little resident Sydney seal, and then got a main shot of the Opera House from across the water, which is really cool. And then in the afternoon we just sort of wandered about. We went to the botanical gardens, which was lovely to kind of just sit down and people watch, see all the little flowers. Yeah, and the fact that that's in the middle of the city is a bit like Central Park in New York or Hyde Park, where you've got this lovely big green space in the middle of the city. Now this is where I messed up my scrapbook. I got my pages a bit confused, so yeah, then I'll go back to it like this. So in the afternoon we caught the bus to Bondi Beach, had to visit there. So it was pretty quiet because it was low season, but it also meant that you couldn't really swim, but we did have a little paddle and sort of watch the Bondi rescue guys do their thing, which was pretty cool. And yeah, I've managed to get this picture of the waves, which are quite choppy. You can see why it's perfect for surfing. And then in the evening we headed back to the city, and they had like a light festival on, called Vivid. So it's where they use lots of strobes, lots of light effects to create different sort of light effects across the city. So they light up the Opera House, light up the bridge. And then this was the view from our hostel roof, where you could see the Opera House, which was really cool. So yeah, we didn't know this was going to be on when we arrived, and so it was a bit of a surprise, which was really nice. Okay. Then the following day we took a train from Sydney Central to Katoomba, which was a town about 2 hours on the train away, and this was to visit the Blue Mountains. I didn't realise that there was actually a hostel in Katoomba, and had I known I probably would have booked a night there, but we just did a day trip to the Blue Mountains. It was a little bit cloudy, but again, because we were doing a lot of walking, the fact that it wasn't bright sunshine was quite nice. So our first stop was to see the Three Sisters. So this is another story in which three sisters got turned into rocks. I can't remember the full story, but yeah, I always think it seems weird that it's always women that get turned into all these different things, but that's okay. And so yeah, we just stayed a while at the lookout, and all the scenery was amazing. And then we decided to do a little hike and started going down these steps, which were a little bit treacherous, because they were all sort of carved out of stone. They weren't the smoothest, and then it started raining, so they became a little bit slippy, but it was still really cool to sort of see the views like as the steps go around the mountains. So yeah, and then sort of you can see all the viewpoints from them. And then what we kind of forgot to notice is that what goes down must come back up. So we lost count of the amount of steps we did, but it was really tough. So you can see there how steep the stairs are. So I picked up another postcard, and it says, "To the Blue Mountains, wow, you were amazing. The never-ending landscape, rock formations, waterfalls and plants were beautiful and so peaceful. Plus you gave us an unexpected workout climbing down and up all the stairs, but the views definitely made it worthwhile." So yeah, absolutely loved it here. It was so peaceful. So yeah, it was a good day out there. Yeah, this is where I mucked it up. So there was one more page for the Blue Mountains. So we found Katoomba Falls, which funnily enough is a waterfall, and just got some snaps. And then there was a little bench, so we sat down and had a contemplation station there for a little while, which was nice just to sort of hear the flow of the water. And then we headed back to Sydney on the train. And then for our last day, we caught the bus to Coogee Beach, and we walked from Coogee to Bondi, which is sort of a famous walking route along the coast past different beaches. So yeah, we started in Coogee, which was really nice. It was a nice little, well, it's not really a town, but sort of nice little beach area. And then just sort of walked around the coast. It took us about an hour and a half to get from Coogee to Bondi, so it was a nice amount of time. And yeah, the views were absolutely stunning. So yeah, sort of the colour of the water is amazing. And so each time we came to a little beach, we sort of went down and sat and had a little chill for a bit. And then next beach along is Bronte Beach, which my friend's dog is called Bronte, so I took a picture of the sign to say she's got her own beach. And then finally we arrived at Bondi, and because this was our last day in Australia, we decided to go to the Icebergs restaurant for some food. We didn't actually swim in the icebergs in the swimming pool, but it was nice to sit and watch other people do it. And yeah, we were a little bit stingy because we saw the price of the food and it was very expensive, so we decided to share some fish and chips on the proviso that we would kind of be eating well on the plane a little bit later. So yeah, we kind of stinged out and shared some food, but it was very expensive. It was about $38 for one portion, so we were like running out of money a little bit, so yeah, that's why we shared. But it was lovely to kind of just watch the ocean and what people watch in the swimming pool and sort of get a long distance view of Bondi Beach. So yeah, that was really nice. And then it was time to get back to the airport and head home. So yeah, that's the end of my trip to Australia. It was absolutely amazing and I enjoyed every single second. And so would love to go back, but I've got all these memories if I don't. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.